Hey everyone, hey everybody, this is Karabo Amasutu. This is the Intimate Affair once again. Episode 5. Episode 5, and it's the new year. We are in the new year now. I'm recording this still at home, and a lot has happened, hey? A lot has happened since we last spoke. The last time I think I was telling you that I'm going to be doing a couple of gigs, and I actually did. I did a couple of gigs, and I did a little bit of traveling, not a lot, but a little bit of traveling. But it was a very special. It was a very special travel, I must say, because I traveled back home to Kwatwa. I had some good gigs that I had to do there. Um, Actually, I had a gig to do, and that gig gave birth to another gig. And but generally, it was just an amazing time that I had because it was basically me. It was like a trip down memory lane, man. I was remembering everything that is me, everything that I'm about, everything that defines who I am, and wow, it was interesting, and it was very emotional at the same time. I mean, um, sometimes it's good to take these trips and to really understand and to reconnect with yourself and to reconnect with everything that is you, everything that is all about you, everything that you are supposed to do. Now, today I decided to just not script much as much as I used to, and to try and speak from the heart. And there's a lot to say. I hope to say everything within a very short space of time, and I hope to remember everything that I want to say. Today, like I said, I took a trip back home. As a result, a trip down memory lane. So this actually reminded me of everything that led me to a position where I find myself musically, that is the bands that I worked with, the guys that I worked with, and the place, some of the songs that I wrote, what they meant, and how they came about, how I used to dream, and how much of those dreams I've attained, how much of those dreams I haven't attained, what where am I basically in a bigger scheme of things, and where do I want to go? I mean, if we are in the new year now, and we about to, we're embarking on a new year, and we are also trying to rekindle and refocus ourselves back to what we had promised ourselves to, to do. um Interestingly enough, I mean, lately I've been listening to other podcasts basically. So I came across this podcast by Tank. The podcast is called R&B Money. If you have time, please check it out. And it's quite interesting because I realized that there's a need there's a need for us to reconnect to things that really inspire us and things that really made us who we are today. Now, I realize the value. And the other thing is, when I'm home, it's not that I don't go to church a lot in Pretoria, but here, when I go to church, I go to church that defines who I am. I mean, church is a very important part of who I am generally. So, um, I went to church. So when I'm home, I normally go to two churches. I go to my church, I go to the church where I grew up. So I normally try to alternate between the two. But there's a church that I used to go to in town. It's a church that also shaped my musicality and my musicianship, basically, especially when it comes to playing. Um, and some of the songs that I wrote. I remember a song like One Love from my EP was written in church. It was written in church, and I listened to my music and I realized that there's a lot of church influence. There's a lot of spiritual influence in the music that I make. um, it's not just love songs. It's not just songs that are you know encouraging people to love each other, but it's songs that also encourage people to love and revere God. you know, um, revere and fear God, and reconnect with the spirituality. And it's quite interesting that these days, we live in a generation of the woke ones, or who think they have things all figured out. And I realize, that not really. People don't really have things all figured out as they think they do, because things that shaped us into beings that we have become, those things remain important. I don't know what has shaped you, but whatever it is that has shaped you, don't ever, ever, ever let anything move you away from that, especially if that has worked for you. Unless if you go through something and it abuses you, and all these things. I mean, there could be reasons why people move away from their childhood, because sometimes it's traumatic, but positive things that make you to become the person that you are. For instance, for now, I would say church gave me a musical persona. I am who I am today. It's not because of anything, but it's because I realized that I could be this person in church. I realized that I could sing, and I realized how much singing means to me in church. So, as I was listening to this guys talking, Tank, I watched Jimmy Fox, an interview he did with Jimmy Fox. I watched an interview he did with PJ Morton, and PJ Morton happened to be a guy who sort of a go-to guy, an influence to me. And wow, it's amazing. It's amazing how much of church is just available in the music that we make. In soulful music, you find a lot of church. In R&B music, you find a lot of church. Obviously, in hip hop, like the beats and everything else, the musicianship that comes with that. If I can mention guys like Bob Beethoven, Zaytoven, actually, is a producer who is very churchy as well, and he has really contributed immensely in the trap movement and in the modern hip hop that we listen to. And he's a church guy. If you listen to my piano, some of the guys that play there, especially the area guys that were playing, these were guys who were playing in church, and they were trying to, experiment outside of church and see what they can do. And the keyboard players, a lot of keyboard players that you find there, including like your Howard. I mean, I've played with Howard. Although he doesn't really do hip hop, or he doesn't really do my piano, but he contributed a lot to music that we listen to. Guys like Bo, I'm talking about in South Africa now, South African influence, that Bo Mondling, or Bo. He has a very strong church background. And so church still play a very vital role in shaping the music that we hear on daily basis. I had a very interesting interview as well, that was done by, I think it's basically from a documentary called Brother with Perfect Timing by Abdullah Ibrahim, where, I mean, he's a Muslim, we all know that, but he also has a very strong church background. You have pianists like your Thelonious Monk as well. He has a very strong church background. I'm not saying all musicians come from church, but I'm just saying most musicians, they shape whatever that it is they become from church. I used to work for a church. I also, trained in churches, and some of the musicians that I've trained today, They are professional musicians. They are doing other things, but then they started everything from church. So church is still very important, not only to shape the music, but to also shape the morality as well. But remember, church is not a perfect place. So what that means is there are imperfect people. So you will always find that element of imperfection by virtue of having human beings. So human beings are not perfect beings. So they will always come up with that. But it's such an important aspect of okay, at least my musicianship, and I realize that people that I'm attracted to as well, they actually have been churched up, and they are who they are because of church. Thanks a lot for listening to what I had to say. To this coming Sunday, I'm doing the music of Daniel Caesar, and I am doing the music of Michael Franks. I'm very excited about these two artists. Amazing artists, man. And so I'm very excited to actually have them over. I'm very excited to do their music, and I'll talk a little bit about that music and some of my songs as well. I think, yeah, that's what it is. So this is the fifth episode. It's actually the sixth episode, to come to think of it. Yes, this is the sixth episode. Sixth episode, and then I'm left with the other episode. I'm left with two episodes so that I complete the whole season. And in the new season, there are also new things that I'm hoping to explore. Thanks a lot.